Hello, Empowered Woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. Today, we're continuing on with the Empowered Woman book and path series, where I'm interviewing several women who have read my book and left a review on it on Amazon about the 5 steps on the Empowered Woman path. And they also share their personal empowered path to success in life and business. Today's guest is Cousett HOOVER, or as she calls herself, the Techie Mama. She teaches mompreneurs how to maximize technology so they can scale their business, live the lifestyle they want, and contribute something unique. She has founded the Mompreneur Membership, where she helps moms learn all the technology and strategies needed to succeed. We had a great conversation. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to start believing in yourself, giving yourself permission to succeed, and let your voice be heard to make an impact in the world as an entrepreneur, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi, Cousett. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know I am too. So Cousett is a part of my ongoing The Empowered Woman book and path series that I'm doing here on the podcast, interviewing amazing women who have read the book, who have left a review for the book, and want to share more their take on the 5 steps and also talk more about how they have stepped into their own empowered path and how they're leading their clients to empowerment as well. So thank you again for being here. But before we start going through the steps, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Techie Mama. Similar to you, when my oldest was born, I started a business. I just wanted to start a blog and have kind of an out for my brain. I was previously in a PhD program and decided to kind of let that go for the time being. And the blog grew into a business, and I love working with mompreneurs that are starting out and wanting to build something for their life, for their family, for whatever they need, and bring them some resources and help them get through the overwhelm of what it is to build your own business.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It definitely can be overwhelming. Well, I love that so much. And I feel like this is a perfect segue for the notice yourself step, for our first step, because a lot of my journey obviously came in noticing myself was with starting a business, right? And noticing postpartum, I think I need something. I don't know what it is, but it was that beginning for me, a journey of self-awareness, of asking myself questions instead of having people prompt me. It's just to do it myself, right? In my own mind, and then diving in, digging in, and starting to take steps, even when I didn't know what it was going to lead to. So what is your take on that? And in that, beginning journey of a self-awareness?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was very similar. I resonated a lot with that, where here I had this newborn and was home alone with him all day. I had tried to juggle still doing my PhD program and having the newborn, but it was just not working out. It was very clear that it was just not going to happen at that point in my life. And I wanted to be able to reach out to other moms. I love tech. I had this new area of tech to explore, of, tech gadgets for babies. Mm-hmm. And it just started like that. And it was kind of a journey of kind of getting to know myself. I knew I could do the blog part because the tech was easy for me, but it was more kind of the writing and, learning to write in a non-academic way and in more of like a, connecting with others way. And just kind of getting outside myself to connect with others. I was still I did some website work at the time, still do, but just like started connecting with people on Facebook, other moms that were just trying to build something or build a website or build a blog. I definitely wasn't the first mommy blog. So, yeah. But just kind of finding myself in those tech skills and what could I provide and how could I, gaining some confidence in like, well, yeah, I was in a PhD program for educational technology, and I can bring those skills to a different place in my life,
Right.
and the here and now of, I love teaching, I love tech, how can I bring those together? So
That's great. Well, and on that sense is, honoring your gifts, honoring your desires, and then moving on to our next step of listening to yourself. There's the positive aspect of that, and also listening for those times when we second guess ourselves. So you were talking about, having the confidence, but I'm sure anytime we start something new, there are some shadows or some pushback in there, imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, or even at times family, like in my case, people not really understanding why I was doing that. And maybe I'm curious to hear if that was a little bit of a pushback that you got, since you were already super, successful in doing in that career, and then deciding to go for something that seemingly was not related at all.
Yes, exactly. So definitely, I think that came out more in the, putting down the whole idea of the blog. It was like, oh, well, this is just a silly blog, I'm not really doing much with it. It was really, really hard to leave the PhD program, and I experienced a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of just self-confidence issues with the PhD program of I'm not good enough for it. My husband has a doctorate in technical writing. So, I kind of had a connection with him with that. And then it was always kind of, when I left the program, this constant like comparison of like, well, I failed, So
Yeah.
it came a lot more with that piece of the decision to kind of, and everybody asked why, why are you leaving it? Why don't you finish? My parents said that they would help with, the baby and to give me time, and they did. And I tried for about a semester or so to keep on going, but it became really clear that it was way too much stress for me, and I was passing that on to my baby, and that was not something that I wanted to do. And with the blog, it was definitely the way that I kind of shadowed it was, well, it's just kind of an outlet for me. Nobody's ever going to see it. I definitely took me a little while longer to kind of start looking at strategies and SEO. And, I knew about all those different things theoretically and kind of technically, but had never employed it on something of my own. And that just went back to like, yeah, it's not good enough. It's not going to be anything. It's just my silly little blog. It's just my outlet kind of thing. So it took a little while to really be like, no, this is something I am helping others, whether it's with their website, and we'll see what kind of grows out of that. And it took a couple of years to start doing courses, which is what I really love, and kind of melded that. Yeah, I can bring, all the coursework and stuff like that. Just because I don't have the three little letters behind my name doesn't mean I didn't learn anything in that time. And really apply it to, creating really good courses for others to take and to, kind of dive into these topics.
That's amazing. Well, I love what you just said. Just because I don't have the three little letters after my name, it doesn't mean that I didn't learn things, or that I have, or that I don't have valuable wisdom to help other people with, which takes me to our next step here of forgiveness, that I believe goes hand in hand a lot with the hesitation that we feel with ourselves, but at times with family. And even now, once you started working with clients, there's a lot of that. That's something else that I bring up in the book. It's relationships, regardless of what kind of relationship it is a little tough, and it brings up lots of things about ourselves that maybe we hadn't acknowledged before. So what were some of those things that you had to deal with, and then extend forgiveness for yourself and for others too, as you're building this business?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely working one-on-one with others, kind of figuring out. I did a lot of website work before I started doing kind of more business coaching, and kind of figuring out for myself and for my clients of like, these are the boundaries I'm going to make for myself. Like, I'm not an agency, because that's a big, with coaching, it's a little different, but with website work, a lot of times, your website is down, and that's detrimental, or, and I'm always there if it's down, but, if it's is just something that needs updated. A lot of times when you're working with an agency, that can be done,
Yeah.
really, really quickly. Whereas for me, uh, setting that boundary and that kind of saying that relationship and that first I'm a mom. And I think that's also kind of come out in my coaching of like, my coaching embodies the whole mompreneur. I even like capitalize the mom part a lot of times because it's, yes, we're building this business. Yes, we're building the side hustle or, whatever that we want to have. And yes, that's a big part of us, but we're mom first. Like,
Yeah.
and I think for any mom, that's true, whether they're in industry or, doing a side hustle or whatever level of business. And so I think one thing that I work with a lot of my mompreneurs is kind of embodying kind of that whole aspect of yourself. It's like, kind of setting boundaries for your kids, involving them, doing different things so that it's not just like, this is mom's work and then, you're over here kind of thing. And just kind of little things that we can do with that. So
that is huge. Yeah. Especially when we're talking about forgiveness and boundaries, I feel like they really go hand in hand in many ways, and honoring the other roles that we play and the other responsibilities that we have in our lives. And at times when we get super excited about the business or when clients are depending on us, like what you're saying, my gosh, I can imagine with the whole tech side of things, people being like, you need to do this for me. But well, if it's not, what you had agreed upon, then that can definitely get tricky in adjusting the expectations there. But now I want to hear for the empower yourself piece. What are the things that you're super proud of yourself for having accomplished in this time? So how long has it been since you started your business? And now are you full-time? Tell me more.
Oh gosh, I wish I were full-time. I'm not sure if I'll ever be full-time. But so my son is currently 6, and it was about when he was 6 months, I think I started the blog. I would say that the business, though, has been more of a business for maybe about the past 2 or 3 years. Okay. So not definitely had a little bit of there that was just kind of a blog and didn't have so much the business aspect to it. But yeah, I'm sorry, I totally spaced on. So the empowered, what am I proud of? I think the biggest thing that I love doing is connecting with others and teaching. And so I've been a part of several different summits and kind of getting the word out in that way. Right. And I think that imposter, it's an ongoing, right? So as soon as you have confidence in one area, the imposter comes back. My background is tech and I'm, fairly confident in that, but my background isn't business or marketing. And so, it's always a self-talk of like, well, I'm not good at that part. So I'm never going to sell, I'm never going to be good at something, but really just challenging myself to be out there. And I'm going to be part of the Blogger Breakthrough Summit in January. That's a great summit, been part of just kind of various parts of different summits. And I really love that because it combines kind of the teaching aspect with kind of connecting and kind of getting the word out more about my business and about what I do. So
that's amazing. Well, and we have commonalities there with our kids being 6 and me starting practically after they were born. So I definitely resonate with what am I going to do with my life right now? And you already were mid doing something and you realize that's not what you wanted. So yeah, it does happen. And now let's talk about transformation. What is the biggest transformation that you witnessed in yourself through this period? And also some client success stories or transformations that you can share with us in the work that you do.
For sure. So I think just kind of, it's an ongoing juggle. I don't like the phrase, the work-life balance, because I think, especially for a mompreneur or for any moms, it's not ever a balance.
Right.
It's always, I follow Kara Harvey and she has a book and she says, when the poop hits the fan. And I think that's a big thing for moms and moms that are running their own businesses that, things happen all the time. And, we have to kind of go with roll with it. And and the amount that we're able to roll with it. So I think the biggest transformation is, I'm still learning, but I think is just being able to kind of roll with it more.
Yeah.
I thought, all my time's going to be back once I have both of them in school, which I don't quite have it, but one's in preschool and one's in elementary. And it's kind of this whole other challenge of like all the volunteer stuff. And it was like, well, part of why I did this was so that I could be present. I didn't want to go back into industry. I do want to be present in the school and, be volunteering and stuff like that. And so it's an ongoing kind of juggling, but kind of being more flexible and kind of stepping back and like, yes, I want this to grow, but kind of at what cost kind of thing. So at what rate am I good with it growing slowly so that I can do these other things I want to do? Mm-hmm. Or am I going to kind of do blinders and, kind of like finishing the PhD program, kind of, have no time with my newborn, have no time, with my husband, and just kind of focus completely on the one thing. So it's an ongoing kind of juggle, but I think it's a daily reminder that I feel more confident about of like, no, I'm, Tuesdays are dedicated to go do Tuesday folders at the elementary school. And, that's now on my calendar and, it's something that I do and, and that's okay, and if that means that I step back and don't do a new course a month or something like that, then that's okay, Right.
And you get to choose.
Yeah,
you get to decide. You're the boss. So how do you work with clients then? Because you'd mentioned it's not in an agency format. You do some business coaching. Tell us more. What is the transformation that you help provide? And also, if you want to share some client stories, I would love to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So I do a little bit of everything. I have some self-paced courses and a membership that has kind of access to all of those courses. And they talk about different things like creating a course, building your website, kind of a lot of what I did. It was kind of like a DIY kind of your business kind of thing. So kind of learn from the ground up, kind of how to do all the different things. The coaching, I don't have one-on-one coaching. I have a kind of a group coaching program called my Mastermind. And we just kind of talk about different business aspects every month. So we talk about, digital products or selling or, creating a funnel, just different things that might help them. Early stages, a lot of them are early stages. So some of the client stories I have, one mom that was just about last year was ready to kind of quit and didn't really know where she was going with her blog or with her business and was ready to just kind of stop everything. And I found her, I think it started with, I found her a homeschooling summit that she submitted to. And it kind of rolled with that. And so we've worked this past year on like kind of getting the word out more about homeschooling. She was doing a lot of productivity, but that's a really saturated market. And so we kind of dove in a little bit more into homeschooling and productivity. And she's been working with me to create several different bundles throughout the year. And so those have been really successful. Another mom that's in my mastermind, she has just been starting. She's had a kind of her own business. She had a studio for a long time for yoga and has moved more towards like the online market. And so we've kind of been building from the ground up kind of a couple of different memberships for some live yoga and whole kind of body coaching. So she does some one-on-one coaching and some different things. So yeah, lots of different areas and from digital products to, more coaching and yoga and all kinds of different things.
All kinds of different industries and both in the strategy portion of things and also obviously the tech. That's wonderful. I love it. Well, last but not least, my final question for you is, what is an empowered woman?
Ooh, I think empowered woman is someone who is confident in their abilities and what they can bring to the world. They're confident in their gifts. We all have gifts that we bring into the world. And so they know what that is for themselves, and they're not afraid to share it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so great. Thank you so much, Cousett, for joining us. I'll be happy to put all the information in the show notes, but how can people find you? Is there a specific platform that you hang out with, or where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm Techie Mama on just about everything. So techiemama.com is my main website, and then it kind of spurs off up there. I am not big on social media, but you can find me on Instagram, and
Okay.
definitely connect with me on Instagram and Facebook. And I am kind of often on YouTube for a live show, but I'm hoping to kind of get that up and going a little bit better in the next few months. So
That's awesome. Well, there you have it, people. Go connect with Cousett at Techie Mama all over, and learn some tips and tricks to grow your business, whether you already have something going or you're kind of unsure. She can go ahead and help you and empower you. Thank you so much, Cousett. This was great.
thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you're enjoying this series. It's been so fun to connect with such amazing women from different backgrounds, different stories, different businesses. I hope you've been enjoying it. Do let me know, reach out to me, and also connect with them. Connect with Cousett. All her links are going to be in the show note. And don't forget, there's still time to join my book club. Like I'd mentioned before, I really believe I'm just going to leave this community open so that people, as they read the book, they have a place to go to talk about it and discuss and connect with each other and also with me. Go to martaspurk.com/book club. It's free. Until next time, bye.